I mean, who else? There was like Miss Caffrey, the fucking school nurse.
Not her.
Who I was pretty sure was a guy for most of high school.
I'm not convinced still.
She taught family life class too.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine?
I've never had a teacher who was more disdainful of the students than she seemed to be. Maybe she was just disdainful of me, but she always seemed like to be tolerating you barely.
Right.
If you went to her like, "Oh, my stomach hurts," she'd be like, "You're fine. Go back to class." But she taught family life, which was like code for sex ed.
Right. I mean, is there a better fucking abstinence program than looking at her while talking about sex?
Oh, she's talking about sex. I just remember her big, and she would never joke. Like everything was kind of like she had a real sarcastic attitude. So she wasn't very fun. But I remember her going. She was a nurse, and she's like, when we were in nursing school, you know, we would ask all the boys, like, do you masticate? And they'd be like, no. And we'd be like, well, how do you chew your food? And then walk away. And I was like, that's your move.
Genius!
Was she the only sex ed teacher?
That I had, yeah.
I know that I made her laugh once with my ignorance, though.
She had short hair? She was laughing at you, not with you?
She asked if anybody knew what the rhythm method was.
Right.
And nobody put their hands up. And I didn't know what it meant either, but I wasn't certainly going to volunteer. But she called on me and said, because I wasn't paying attention, obviously, and she asked me what it was, and I just took an educated guess, and I told her that I thought the rhythm method was you get into a good rhythm, and then you get out of there before something happens.
And she laughed.
But I had no idea really what it meant, and then she did laugh.
She was laughing like, you stupid fuck. You're never getting laid.
I remember her big thing about a girl giving birth. She was like, let's say the guy was like, imagine trying to push a football through
the hole in your penis. I remember that one.
Okay, so try to imagine something that's physically impossible, you fucking douchebag.
I'd heard that before she said it, though.
She didn't coin that?
I don't know if she coined it, but that's who I heard from first myself.
Archie Bunker, I think. Sally Struthers or something.
Archie says that.
I don't know.
I think I heard
Gloria, little Gloria
yeah,
said
Gloria
it.
Probably said it. To Mike
Stivic.
To Meathead.
You know, she's another teacher that I wouldn't. And mind you, none of them wanted to fuck me, so it was mutual. But
yeah, neither guidance counselor at Corsi nor Lenahan.
No.
But that's like every American boy has that fantasy, though. At some point,
I never had it because we didn't have anybody.
Then?
And I didn't either. But I'm just saying that you're supposed to, though.
If there were Mr. Diadios, maybe the principal. Like, I wonder what it'd be like to take it from Bobby D.
A blumpkin, what you call it?
Oh yeah. Hey, Mr. D, you want a blumpkin?
What's a blumpkin, Brian?
Why don't you go to one of our doorless stalls and I can show you and the rest of the world?
So, Mr. Johnson, let me get this straight. You want to give me oral while I'm shitting?
Yeah. I do.
Mr. Johnson, you're going to have a week of in school. And she's like, ask him if he masticates.
And then I'll walk away.
Oh my God, she was so satisfied with that joke. She was not a pleasant woman. And she always seemed like she was very judgmental of the Henry Hudson students because her kids went to like Mater Dei.
Right.
So I always thought that was weird that a teacher who like didn't have their kids in the same school was so openly disdainful,
like downright hostile.
Yeah, flat out.
Like Walter. What about the rhythm method?
Do you know what the rhythm method is?
I seriously don't.
It's figure. You know what it is now.
Well, you had to go to Catholic.
Isn't it about getting?
Make up for it, dude. Make up for it in case Caffrey's listening.
You kind of time. You like a calendar. You figure out when your eggs are fertile.
Figuring out when the woman's most fertile.
And this is
booyah.
This is a Catholic system, like or Catholics use this.
Everybody can use it.
It's called Catholic roulette, though. That's the nickname.
Isn't it immoral to get ahead?
Is it immoral?
Yeah, like that's
for that law. Right.
No, that's about the law. The guy who wrote that law that said it's a sodomy law.
Well, my guess is that they kind of put the sodomy laws in so they could prosecute homosexuals.
Oh, but not heterosexuals?
I mean, if I had to guess, I would imagine that some straight guy was just like, those gays bug me. Let's make it illegal for sodomy, for oral and anal. And then somebody else is like, hey, man, I like fucking head. And he's like, yeah, but we're only going to prosecute gays. Yeah, don't worry, man. Fucking straight head's cool. That's the only reason I could see to put that.
What about like a real strict, uptight Catholic?
Would put that on the books.
Even for heteros.
For hetero people? I don't know.
Well,
man.
I think it's on the books for everyone. But in terms of like who they're going to prosecute, the idea is like we'll put it on the books. We'll go after all the homos.
Who's more in the wrong?
What do you mean?
The receiver or the giver?
According to these laws?
Yeah.
Who would get more time?
Yeah.
I would think equal.
The giver.
Right? Really?
The giver, huh?
I think the giver gets the edge, yeah, because it's like as the receiver.
But the receiver is if it's hetero.
Yes.
Oh, okay. If it's hetero, if it's a guy getting it, he's physically able to be like, no, and push her away.
Right.
I'm
not even working. I'm not working under the assumption that somebody's being raped here. I'm working under different law. There are laws in place for that.
No, but he goes, no. I'm saying like he knows he knows the law book. He knows it in and out. He knows like she's kissing his stomach and she's getting too close.
He's hot, right?
He's like, hold on, I have to pick up my law book.
He knows that he should put a stop to it though.
Right.
He physically can.
Is this like now or old timey days? Are people wearing fucking Buster Browns? What? You're talking about like two kids today, and there's one in high school, and the chick's about to blow him, and he's just like, "This is against the law."
Well, I mean, I don't think most people today even know the laws are even on there. I guess I'm talking about in the past, like a week or two after the law was passed.
Do they make a big deal of it? They put it in the paper so everybody knows.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they would.
And they
the Scarlet Letter.
What?
Right? That would be like if you're getting in the paper, like Brian Smith stole an apple from the fucking apple cart. Mm-hmm. Janet Smith fucking committed sodomy.
Blew him for the apple. Blew me for the apple.
Somehow these stories connect. Local youth Brian Smith was cleared of stealing the apple when it was discovered that he only did it to pay for sodomy. It was an excused crime. I would imagine the giver would take more harsher if it was truly ever prosecuted. I would imagine they would look down more on the giver.
What about if it's a homosexual couple?
Both
Equal
easily.
time.
Yeah, and double of what a straight would get.
How much jail time do you think?
Well, that's a tricky question because like if we put them in jail, they're just going to do it more. I don't know, man. That's an interesting question. Well, keeping it in the straight arena, I would imagine the giver is viewed more of there's a penetration issue. It always comes down to who's getting penetrated. And I think in that, since you're giving, since a cock is going into your mouth, they would probably treat that, if this has ever been prosecuted, they would probably treat that more harshly than the person receiving it, who would also be punished, but not nearly as severely. Because at the end of the day, the receiver is just like, hey man, I was just sitting there and all of a sudden...
You couldn't get up? Mr. Brian Smith, you couldn't get up and walk away?
I gotta tell you, I was fighting it inside, but it's still
kissing my stomach.
I reached for my law book. Suddenly my wiener was in her fucking maw. What was I to do, Your Honor?
You're in jail.
She said she was hungry. I just gave her that.
I didn't want it. Once it started, I couldn't stop it.